What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff. All right. I have tried to limit my coffee intake because I drank so much, but today's one of those days. I have to have it. I have to have it. I think every Thursday I've got to have it. Hey, Jill, what's up? What's going on? Thank you for wishing me a happy birthday and tuning in. I'm pretty sure you wished me happy birthday. Does anybody know when that snow is supposed to start this weekend? Hey, Lori, how are you doing? That snow's supposed to start at 1 o'clock Saturday.
You're listening to Media Lex Radio, WLXU, 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of Lexington Community Radio or its board of directors. The views expressed are solely those of the programmers.
You are listening to Off the Cuff. Now, here's your host, Adam Banks.
Welcome everybody to Off the Cuff. I am Adam Banks coming at you live from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for listening to the show and thank you for tuning in to WLXU 93.9 FM. In addition to listening to us on the radio, you can check out our Facebook live stream at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, or you could stream the show live from the station website at MediaLex.us. I am broadcasting from the Deborah Hensley Studios here at Radio Lex on North Limestone. It is January the 22nd, 2026. I am another age than what I was when we last was on the air together. I am now officially 38 years old. But I tell you what, folks, I was teaching class this morning and my students thought, and I'm not lying, my students thought that I was 22 years old. I know I don't look 22, but hey, I will take it. I said, man, I don't care what you do in here, you're getting an A for calling me 22 years old. But no, thank you guys so much for all of the birthday love, reaching out, telling me happy birthday. I really appreciate it. I got some good news over the weekend. Off the Cuff with Adam Banks has been nominated for Media Company of the Year, or Music Company of the Year at the Lexington Music Awards that takes place March the 8th. I won the award last year. It would truly be an honor to win it 2 years in a row. And I want to thank everyone who put up a nomination for me to be in that category. So yes, I will once again be attending the 12th annual Lexington Music Awards at the Singletary Center, and hopefully take home the hardware. But nonetheless, it's always a good time, whether you win or not. But winning would be nice. Folks, we are supposed to get a hellacious storm in this state. In Lexington in particularly, it says that the snow is supposed to start at 1 o'clock on Saturday, and it's supposed to last all weekend. They are predicting somewhere between 4 to 12 inches here in Lexington alone. That is a lot of snow. So make preparations as much as you can. Make sure that you have a charged phone. Make sure that you have enough groceries in the house. And even make sure that you put gas in your car. You never know when you might have to run out to your vehicle, warm up a little bit, charge your phone. But there is snow on the way. I am the last person to ever talk about weather. I find weather very boring, and you hardly ever hear me say be weather aware. But folks, this weekend, please be weather aware. I was looking for things to talk about on the show, and I was doing research, and I came across an article I would love to open up the show with, because I would love to get your input as audiences, as audience members. I feel like, for the most part, I am a respectable person. I feel like that I don't do anything kind of out of pocket. And I come across this article, and this article said that if you do the following things, you are not a respected person, or people don't respect you. They say that you're a disrespectful person if you do more than one or two things on this list. And I was reading the list and I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely do that. I do that. But I would like to go over some of those things that I read in the article that tells you that you are a disrespectful person if you do any of these. Chronic lateness was the first part. If you can't respect somebody's time, why should they respect you? I understand that. And there is a lot to be said about somebody that is constantly late. I hate being late. I am a right on time type of guy. If an event starts at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be there at 6:58. But that's not late. Showing up at 7:01 is late. And you should always be mindful of other people's time. They took time out of their day. They took time out of their schedule to be at whatever you're supposed to be at. And if you don't show up, that is clearly saying that you don't respect their time. So that would make you a disrespectful person. It also says here is that people who don't take responsibility for their own mistakes. We always got those people that put the blame on everybody. They can never take responsibility for anything that goes wrong. It's kind of like, for instance, if I say, I see Nikki on the show thread, if I say, Nikki, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow at 2 p.m. Remind me so I don't forget it. And Nikki forgets to remind me tomorrow that I have a dentist appointment, and I end up missing the dentist appointment. Whose fault is it? Is it mine or is it Nikki's? Well, of course it's my fault, because it's not her responsibility to tell me when my appointments are. Yes, I asked her to do me a favor, but I'm sure people have met people before that have told them to remind them of something, don't let them forget something, and when they accidentally do forget, they put the blame on them. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to keep up with your own responsibility. So that would make you a disrespectful person if you're always putting the blame on other people. It also says here in this article, something that would make you a disrespectful person is, and this is the one that I do all of the time, nicknames or shortening of people's names with no consent. I am guilty as charged. If your name is Jim, I'm calling you Jimmy. If your name is Tim, I'm calling you Timmy. If your name is Sam, I'm calling you Sammy. I don't find that disrespectful at all. I actually find it very endearing when you come up with a nickname for somebody. And I mean nothing by it, but I can see their point of view, especially if it's a nickname that's not very flattering. That would be disrespectful, and if you keep calling them that. Now, if they tell you over and over, don't call me that, at that point, if you keep calling them that, it can be disrespectful. But I saw that and I was like, uh-oh, this ain't going to be a good list, because I am always shortening your name. Listen, if I come up with a name for you, that just means I like you. Another one here, it says, not picking up after your dog. Very disrespectful, especially if you live in a community where there's other people. Pick up your dog's trash. Pick up your dog's feces. It's gross. You shouldn't leave it for other people to do. Another person writes, when I explain to someone that I'm deaf in one ear and hard of hearing, and in response, they laugh. You should never laugh at anybody's disability. Yes, you might hear that from a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old, that they might be deaf in one ear, and you might find that kind of strange because they're so young, and you find it funny that they are deaf. But think about what you're laughing at. They just told you that they had a condition, and you continue to laugh at it, or you proceed to laugh at that. Very disrespectful. When someone controls conversations and doesn't let other people comment or give their opinion, now that is totally rude. I mean, that is very disrespectful for people that are know-it-all people. They don't care about your opinion because they automatically think they're right. Their opinion matters. They don't care what you think because they think that they are always right. When someone it says here that when they tell me they know more about me than I do. So, have you ever met people like that feel like that they know you better than you know yourself? They're delusional. Another person writes, this is very disrespectful. They ditch their friends for the more popular ones. Yes, and that happens all of the time, especially in high school when you're transitioning from a grade school to a high school or from a high school to a college. A lot of people will drop you because they feel like they found a better friend group, a more cooler friend group, a more prestigious or a more popular friend group, so they just push you aside. Those people, and this goes without saying, those people were never your friends to begin with. Another person writes, people whose only goal in life is to feel offended by anything and everything. So if you are somebody that gets offended over everything, and you make it a point to get offended over everything, that's being a disrespectful person. For an example, you say, I like working from home. It helps my focus. And then they respond with, wow, so you think people who can't work from home are lazy and unfocused? That's incredibly offensive. And then you clarify and you're like, that's not what I said. And then they reply, intent doesn't matter. You should think before you speak. I mean, that's somebody that is always having to find offense to something. It's just weird. Telling me that the pain I'm going through is nothing compared to theirs, another person writes. So, for instance, you can say, let's say you had a family member pass away. Let's say you had a friend pass away. And that person says, well, my dad passed away, and there's no way that hurt worse than what it hurt me. Losing your friend didn't hurt me worse when I lost my father. I mean, that was my father. Stop it. You have no idea the relationship people have with other people. That person's friendship could have been a stronger relationship than a father-daughter or a father-son. You have no idea how close people are. And so just to assume that that you were in more grief than somebody else just because it seems like you should be closer to your parents than a friend is ridiculous. Another disrespectful thing that people do is people who trash talk behind your back and then act like your best friend face to face. Bad friend again. Drop them. Another person writes, constantly complaining that they don't have enough money, but every time you're with them, they just purchase something new. So, that goes... I don't really find that disrespectful. Again, you should never judge somebody just by the items that they have. You never know really financially how people are struggling. So take that with a grain of salt. Another person writes, this is disrespectful if you do this. When someone does something god-awful and tries to downplay it or brings up something you did in the past that has no correlation to what is confronted and uses that to deflect. For an example, you tell a friend, it really hurt me when you shared my personal business with other people. And then they respond with, well, you weren't perfect either. Remember 2 years ago when you forgot to invite me to that party? And anyway, you're too sensitive. It wasn't a big deal. I mean, you're completely ignoring that person's feelings. And we all know people who will bring things up that happened 2 or 3 years ago that's completely irrelevant. And they just use it to help their argument because they can't admit that they were in the wrong. When people can never admit that they are in the wrong, you will never be able to rebuild or repair what was broken. Somebody has to admit that they were wrong. Sometimes it's both people, but at least one person has to admit. And if you never admit you were wrong, don't expect forgiveness. Another person writes, killing animals for fun, aka trophy hunting. Anyone who takes pleasure in ending a life is a sadist, and I want nothing to do with them, this person writes. Well, I can see their point there. I am not opposed to hunting. That's what we do for food. We hunt cows. We don't really hunt cows, we kill cows. But we hunt deer. We hunt duck. Animals is what human beings kill to eat. But just killing animals for fun, yeah, I have no place for those people. I know back home in Eastern Kentucky, it's very illegal, but chicken fighting is a big sport. People will put chickens in a den and let them go at it until one of the chickens dies. And it's a big sporting event. It's very cruel because you're literally just using those chickens as just a way to have fun, a way to have entertainment, all for the sake of these chickens' lives. So it's not very cool and it's not decent. So if you do any of those things, according to this article, they say that you are a disrespectful person. All right, folks, we do have a great show ahead of you today. You are listening to Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. Stick with us. We will be right back.
You are listening to Media Lex Radio, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
MediaLex thanks Casual Media for being an amplifier of the voice of the people.
From barbershops to galleries, gardens to banks, Project Ricochet meets people where they are. Since 2010, Project Ricochet has empowered youth through the Ricochet Squad, fought food insecurity with PR Health, Farm Artists, and sparked healing through the Urban Art Collective. We're also confronting gambling harm and building generational wealth with Bet on You, Reclaim Your Power campaign, and Titan Financial Legacy. Together, we're stronger. To learn more, visit projectricochet.org and follow hashtag Project Ricochet 2010. Project Ricochet, stronger together, Kentucky. MediaLex is grateful to Founder Circle member Tanya Jackson for their generous investment in our mission, a level of exceptional giving that reflects the spirit of our founder and community champion, Deborah Hensley.
Sun's up, it's a little after 12.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. The Academy Award nominations dropped this morning. The Academy announced them live in Los Angeles. For Best Picture, the nominations were The Secret Agent, Marty Supreme, F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Bugnonia, Train Dreams, Sinners, Hamnet, and Sentimental Value were the 10 pictures nominated for the Academy Award. I've not seen one of those. For Best Actor, you've got Michael B. Jordan, Leo DiCaprio, Ethan Hawke, Timothy Chalamet, Wagner Mourão. Best Actress, you've got Emma Stone, Jessica Buckley, Kate Hudson, Rose Byrne, and Renée Renzimph. So many other categories came out. The full list is available on our Facebook page at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks on Facebook. This is award season, and this is the time where feature films get the recognition. The Oscars are all about movies. Not television shows, but movies. So, since movies are in the forefront of pop culture right now, thanks to the Academy Awards approaching very, very soon, and since the Academy Award nominations dropped this morning, how about we do a topic about movies? Now, we've done all different sorts of topics when it comes to movies. We've talked about some of the most dramatic moments from movies. We talked about some of the saddest moments from movies. But have you ever watched a movie where the underdog gets the last word, where the underdog, whether it be a nerd, a geek, somebody who is just, I don't know, a lack of a better word, the underdog in the movie, the person who you don't expect to win, ends up winning in the end. And at the end of the movie, they get to have their moment, whether that be through an inspirational speech or whatnot. But I started thinking about movies that did that, where the underdog got the last word. And usually they have the last word in a dramatic moment, whether it be a speech or whether it be a confrontation. But it always makes for a great scene in a movie. And there have been a lot of movies out there, underdog movies, where the underdog wins, where the underdog gets the trophy or the underdog gets the girl. And usually at the end of the movie, the underdog gets the last word. So I have compiled a list here of some movies where the underdog gets the last word. And I would like to talk about some of these. The first one on the list is from a movie in 1995 called Angus. I feel like Angus is a movie that a lot of people haven't seen. Folks, put that on your to-watch list because it is a cult classic. It is a coming-of-age film about this young man, Angus. He's very overweight. He's the underdog. He's got a big crush on the hottest girl in school. And he's just a nerd. And he's always just been known as the fat guy. And he's been humiliated repeatedly throughout his high school career because of his weight and because he's not popular. But at the end of the movie, he gets to take this girl to prom, the girl that he always wanted to take to prom. And the bully in the movie is pretty upset about it because he's got a crush on the girl. And at the end of the prom, as they're dancing, the bully ends up finding an old video of this guy and playing it in front of the whole school and humiliates Angus. And then he goes up to Angus and he punches Angus in the face and then knocks him down. And then Angus gets up and confronts the bully with a very powerful, uplifting speech. And I would like to play that for the audience now.
Angus. Take your best shot, asshole. Come on, man. Welcome to high school, Angus. Good thing you're leaving. Still here, asshole! I'll always be here. You push me down and I'll get right back up again! Again! I could beat you right here, right now. But I don't want to be better than you, Rick. I don't want to be better than anybody. I want to be who I am. A fat kid who's good at science and fair at football. That's who I am. I can live with it. Why can't you? Because it's not normal. You're not normal. And who is you? Take your ass. And so what, to be normal? We all have to be like you? There are 400 people in this room that are nothing like you. Some of them are fat, some of them are skinny, some of them are tall, some of them are short, some of them have braces, some of them have birthmarks, or scars, or frizzy hair, or ears that stick out. But most of them probably walk through these halls every day, never telling anybody the truth about what they really want, or need, or believe. Because people like you, normal people like you, have been terrified of being who they are. I mean, if you're normal, what does that make them? So which is it, Rick? Are you normal? Or are you just one of us?
Whatever I am, something you're never gonna be.
Thank God.
Drop the mic, Angus. There you go. Can you get more of an inspirational speech than that from the end of the movie, Angus? The fat kid finally won, folks. He finally got the last word. I'm telling you, if you've never seen Angus from 1995, that is a movie you want to check out. And you gotta love it. It's very stereotypical when the underdog is having their moment. There's usually inspirational music that plays in the background, and you kind of know what you're getting. You kind of know, okay, this is the underdog's moment. They are finally getting the last word. They're finally getting to say what they've always wanted to say. And it always just so happens to be in a room where everybody gets to hear it. And in this situation, it was at the prom, and the whole high school was around, and Angus finally got his moment. Okay, another movie where the underdog gets the last word is from the 2001 cult classic, Legally Blonde. Most people have seen that one. That is when the ditzy blonde gets into Harvard, and she gets into Harvard Law School and ends up beating all the odds. Everybody thought she would fail within the first week because she was so ditzy, because she loved makeup and she loved clothes and she loved getting her nails done. They thought that she wasn't law school material. And her boyfriend at the beginning of the movie, who was also a Harvard law student, broke up with her because he said he wanted to be with somebody in life that was smart and somebody that wasn't like her. Well, in the movie, she ended up graduating from Harvard Law School, and not only graduating, but she became the valedictorian. And just like most graduations, the valedictorian gets to give the speech. So this is when Elle Woods had her underdog moment, and she got to have the last word at the end of the movie. Here is the speech by Elle Woods at graduation.
A very wise professor quoted Aristotle. The law is reason free from passion. of conviction and strong sense of self that we take our next steps into the world. Remembering that first impressions are not always correct. You must always have faith in people. And most importantly, you must always have faith in yourself. Congratulations, class of 2004. We did it!
And there you go, folks. She finally got her moment, and she got to give her graduation speech. Her boyfriend was there in the audience. He was all lonely and alone. And the girl that he ended up leaving his girlfriend for ended up becoming her best friend. So it made for a very typical rom-com movies, however you want to classify Legally Blonde, chick flick, or whatever. But at the end of the day, Elle Woods did get her final moment. Okay, another movie where the underdog gets the last word is from the 1999 film Never Been Kissed with Drew Barrymore. Another movie, folks. If you've never watched it, put that on your to-watch list. It's one of Drew Barrymore's best movies. She's 25 years old and she's never kissed a guy. She had a horrible high school experience. She was a geek. She was a nerd. And she had a flashback in high school when she was asked to prom by the most popular guy in school, and she was so excited. She had her dress on. She was very ready to go to the prom. And it just so happened to be all a big joke that the popular kids were playing on her. The popular kid, when he went to pick her up, instead of picking her up, he threw eggs at her face, and eggs splashed all over her face and all over her dress. So she hated high school. Well, she ended up growing up. Like I said, she was 25 years old. She's never kissed a guy. And she ended up becoming a very successful reporter for the newspaper, the Chicago Sun-Times. And one of her assignments as a newspaper investigator is she was told to pose as a high school student, go back to high school and go undercover as a high school student, just so she can find out what kids today are like, what teenagers are like today. And she ended up becoming very popular when she went back. And the geek that reminded her of her became her friend. But she didn't really want to be friends with her because she felt like that she wanted to be friends with the popular kids. She finally had a chance to be friends with the popular kids. So she kind of, pushed aside her true friend, the geek, and she was at prom with the most popular boy in school, this 25-year-old, mind you, and she noticed that her friends, the popular friends, were about to dump cow blood on her geeky friend. And that is when she ended up pushing the fake cow blood onto her popular friends, and blood went all over them. And then she had to come clean about who she really was. She revealed that she was an undercover reporter, but it made for a very inspirational speech at the end. And it's something that I feel like it's got a lot of meaning to it when you hear this clip. So take a listen as Drew Barrymore gives her final speech at the end of the movie.
You ruined everything! No, you don't deserve to be prom queen!
Let me tell you something. I don't care about being your stupid prom queen. I'm 25 years old. I'm an undercover reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times, and I have been beating my brains out trying to impress you people. Let me tell you something, Gibby, Kirsten, Kristen. You will spend your lives trying to figure out how to keep others down because it makes you feel more important. Why her? Let me tell you something about this girl. She is unbelievable. I was new here and she befriended me, no questions asked. But you were only my friend after my brother, Rob, posed as a student and told you to like me. All of you people, there is a big world out there, bigger than prom,
There you go, folks. A very meaningful speech, and a speech that still holds true today. There is a lot bigger world out there than just high school, and you never know what people will become. And sometimes those stereotypes that we have to put up with, we like to pigeonhole people based off what sport they play or what their interests or hobbies are. And you miss out on getting to know unbelievable people, because you just assume that they're going to be weird because they like weird things. But get to know the person. You never know what kind of friend that they might be to you. They might end up being the best friend that you ever had. And it was a very inspirational speech. And it was definitely one of those times where the underdog got the last word. And if you're just now joining us, we are talking about movies where the underdog got the last word. And I've got one more to play for you. This is from The Breakfast Club, a classic from 1985. And this is the ending scene of The Breakfast Club. And if you don't know what that movie is about, it's where there was these 5 kids who had detention. They were forced into detention. And the school all sees them as stereotypes. There's the jock, there's the nerd, there's the pretty girl. And the detention teacher wanted them to write an essay about, he wanted them to write an essay that was talking about why that they shouldn't be like that, why they shouldn't stereotype themselves as being who they are in the stereotype. And at the end of the movie, one of the kids in detention writes one essay for all 5 of the people that was in detention on behalf of all 5 of them. And it makes for a very good inspirational speech at the end of the movie. Take a listen.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. But we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. And you see us as you want to see us. In the simplest terms, the most convenient definition. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain, and an athlete,
And a basket case.
a princess, and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
The Breakfast Club. There you go, folks. And that pretty much sums it up. Those are some of the best movies where the underdog gets the last word. That's why you gotta love film. Film covers it all. It covers sadness. It covers love. It covers inspiration. And right now, movies are being celebrated because of the Oscars. So I felt like that I could take a piece out of what film brings us and bring it here to the radio. Because, folks, there's nothing like an inspirational speech. We've all heard an inspirational speech that touches us. And a lot of inspirational speeches don't really come from a speech behind a podium. It comes from these actors that give us memorable scenes. And it becomes so memorable because we have connected with that actor in the movie. We root for that actor. We root for the underdog. And when they finally get their moment, man, how sweet it is. But the Academy Awards is just a couple of months. It's in March. It's a week before the Lexington Music Awards. But since that was in the forefront of pop culture, I felt like a movie topic would be good. All right, folks, stick with us. We still have lots more Off the Cuff with Adam Banks coming your way after these words. We'll be right back.
You are listening to MediaLex Radio, WLXU 93.9 LPFM, Lexington, Kentucky.
MediaLex appreciates the support of the Lextropolis, the digital magazine covering Lexington's urban beat, featuring local writers, community models, and minority businesses each month, serving Lexington and surrounding communities for over 10 years. To learn more, you can visit thelextropolis.com. For the people, by the people. Listen to MediaLex Radio everywhere. We broadcast live in the heart of Lexington on WLXU 93.9 FM. You can also listen on the TuneIn app or download WLXU's mobile app from the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And you can always stream live from our website, MediaLex.us. MediaLex Radio. Tune in to the voice of the people. At Radio Lex, we want to keep our community safe.
Can a landlord refuse to rent to you?
Per the Lexington Human Rights Commission, fair housing law forbids discrimination in housing because of a person's race, color, religion, sex, national origin, familial status, presence of family member under the age of 18 in the household, disability and/or sexual orientation or gender identity.
Radio Lex is committed to providing trustworthy information to our community.
For more information, visit radiolex.us or lexhumanrights.org.
MediaLex's digital studios are made possible in part by the City of Lexington, lexingtonky.gov.
Up in the morning and out to school.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last week on the show, we talked about things in school that we ended up finding out later in life was not true. And I went over a plethora of things that teachers taught us in school that we ended up finding out later in life wasn't true. Whether that be because of technology advancements, like having a calculator with you at all times. But there are all kinds of things that we learned in school that was just simply not true. Well, today on the show, I would like to kind of extend that topic. But instead of talking about things that we learned in school that aren't true, I would like to talk about things that public schools should have taught us but did not teach us. Think about all of the hours spent memorizing facts, taking tests, and checking boxes. And then think about the stuff you had to figure out on your own once school ended. The things that affect your money, your stress level, your relationships, and your future. The lessons that nobody walked us through, even though almost everyone needs them. So today's simple question is this. What do you wish someone had explained before real life started? Because I don't know about you, but there was a lot of things I had to teach myself because we did not learn it in school. We learned a lot about the Revolutionary War. We learned a lot of Pythagorean theorem in math, but we never really learned how to take out a house loan or how to buy a car. So let's talk about some things that public schools should have taught us, but did not. I think that the public school system is doing a disservice to a lot of students when they send them out into the real world unprepared with useless facts. And you would think that the curriculum would evolve since the time I've been in school, but folks, I teach college kids, and a lot of college kids are very unprepared for the real world simply because they wasn't taught. It's not their fault. It's just simply what happened because they wasn't taught it in school. So let's talk about some things that public schools should have taught us, but didn't. All right, how taxes actually work. Tax season is upon us. How many people know how to do taxes? I still don't. That's why I have to hire an accountant to do it. But if that was something that was taught in school, if even that was a math lesson in math class, that would have been very beneficial. Personal finance basics, budgeting, emergency funds, compound interest, inflation, credit cards. And how people get in debt, how people get out of debt. Those are everyday things that happen to adults. And the reason that happens a lot and the reason people get in debt, they don't know how to get out of debt, is because they was never taught it. But boy, oh boy, did they learn about that Civil War. Boy, oh boy, did they learn about that math equation that you've never had to use since geometry. How credit scores work. I didn't know how credit scores worked. I didn't know how interest rates worked because we wasn't taught it in school. Another thing we should have been taught in school that we was not is how to negotiate. Think about life. Life is just a big negotiation. Salary negotiation, rent, car prices, asking for a raise, benefits, skills that could be worth hundreds of thousands over a lifetime. We was never taught in school. Another thing we should have been taught is how to spot misinformation, evaluating sources, understanding algorithms, recognizing bias, and detecting manipulated media. Think about how manipulating the media can be. We don't really know how to spot misinformation because we were just simply not taught those things in school. Another thing is emotional regulation, how to manage anger, anxiety, stress, and disappointment instead of just being told to calm down. You really want me to get even more upset? Tell me to calm down. I don't know what it is, but when I'm upset and somebody tells me to calm down or to chill out, it just turns it up for me, baby. I cannot stand that. I get more angry, more upset. Cannot stand to be told to calm down or to chill out when I'm frustrated. But we need to be taught how to regulate our emotions, how to manage that anger. If we're anxious, we've never really been taught of how to manage that anxiety or that stress. So we look for ways online and we look for things ourselves that we can do to help meditate or help calm our stress. The drug epidemic is outrageous. So many people turn to alcohol, turn to drugs because they simply don't know how to manage anxiety, simply don't know how to manage failure or stress. When that was a big subject that could have easily been included in the curriculum in public schools. What about healthy relationships and boundaries? Okay, what about basic legal rights? What about how healthcare works when it comes to insurance terms, deductibles, co-pays, in-network versus out-of-network, and how to challenge medical bills? Those could be useful things to learn in school. How to cook real meals. Yes, there's home ec, but it's not required anymore. If it's not required, how many people's going to take it? Nobody. Only if you're really interested in cooking, that is something that should be a requirement. Everybody needs to know how to cook a meal. Everything I know how to cook, I learned on my own or from my mother. It wasn't because of the public school system's curriculum. Time management is another thing that they should teach in school, how to learn efficiently. Basic home maintenance. Yes, things like fixing a leak, unclogging drains, using tool safety. And you might be thinking, oh, Adam, they do teach this in school. Make it a requirement. Make it a requirement. Don't make it something that they have to choose on their own to take. Make it required. You make us take geometry. You make us take world civilization. You make us take algebra, but you don't make us take these basic classes that would teach us basic life information. Ridiculous. Another thing is how investing actually works, like stocks. I could have been a rich man if I knew how to use stocks, right? Index funds. All those things. I knew nothing about it until I got out of college or high school, and I started looking it up myself. How careers actually work, like resumes, networking, office politics, freelancing, why job descriptions lie. I teach a class in college that teaches all of that stuff. But that is almost to a point to where it's too late. Students should come into college at least knowing a little bit about how to do those things. Mental health awareness is big. That's another thing. That is another thing. Conflict resolution. How to disagree productively. How to de-escalate situations. How to apologize properly. And how to repair relationships. Conflict could be a whole course. Is it taught in public schools? Maybe as an elective, but is it required? Nah. They think that social studies class is more important. Yeah. They think that geometry class is more important. Yep, they sure do. how to fail and recover. How to, it's hard to teach resilience and adaptability, but you could try. How to refrain from setbacks. How to refrain from personal flaws that you have in your life. Those are things that should be taught in school, folks, because we use these things every day. These situations happen all of the time in life, and the public school system does us a disservice. Nikki on the show thread, she says, I feel like regulating emotion is something parents should help teach their children. As someone who works in the medical insurance billing field, so many people don't understand in-network versus out-of-network. You see what I'm saying, folks? And it's really not their fault, Nikki. It's not their fault. It's because the school system failed them. Maybe I should run for the Fayette County School Board of Education to try to get the curriculum changed. Because whatever the school curriculum is teaching these kids, it's obviously not things that we use in everyday life. I remember, I love politics, and I love, especially when it comes down to the presidential election, I feed off that. I love it. But I did not know what an electoral college was. We was never really taught that in school. We were taught things about the history of presidents, but not really how electoral colleges worked. And I remember when I first was an older adult, or a younger adult, and I was watching the presidential election for the first time as an adult, I had no idea. My eyes were getting crossed with all of that electoral college talk. I had no idea what they were talking about. So I had to teach myself. I had to learn myself what that meant. Why certain states got more than others, why some states had less than others. They call this didactic, folks. People who teach themselves. That's what I am. Half of the things that I know, it wasn't taught from a teacher. It was definitely not taught from the public school system. It was taught on my own because the school system does a disservice. That's just what I feel like, that there are more life skills in public school that need to be taught versus the things that are taught in school. All right, this seems like a good place to take off the cuffs song of the week break. How about a little somber with Back to Friends? Folks, stick with us. We will be back after the song. I told everybody at the top of the hour that I was nominated at the 12th Annual Lexington Music Awards for Best Radio Show. It's in the category Music Company of the Year. But I forgot to tell everybody how to vote. So if you do want to vote for Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, you can do that by visiting houndfm.com, HOUNDFM.com. That is HOUNDFM.com. That is the radio station that is sponsoring the award show, and you can find my category Music Company of the Year and click on Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. It is a public voting forum this year. This is the first time that it's been completely left up to the actual public to make the votes. Usually in the past it's been by peer voting. People that were nominated only got a ballot to vote. But this year they opened it up to the complete public. So you folks more than ever can help Off the Cuff with Adam Banks by voting for me for Best Music Company. Off the Cuff with Adam Banks, that is houndfm.com. All right, folks, we still have one more segment to go. Stick with us. We will be right back.
The Community Response Coalition of Kentucky, Inc. is helping immigrants who've lost access to SNAP benefits. If your family has low or no income, they can assist with food during this time. To get help, you can call their bilingual receptionists at 1-800-674-9217, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to midnight. You can also sign up at crcky.org, available in English, Spanish, and French. You can speed up your request by clicking the blue Sign Up for an Appointment button.
MediaLex is grateful to Founder Circle member Marilyn Daniel for their generous investment in our mission, a level of exceptional giving that reflects the spirit of our founder and community champion, Deborah Hensley.
Welcome back, everybody, to Off the Cuff. Adam Banks here with you. Last segment of the hour. Today's national holiday is Celebration of Life Day. It is held every January the 22nd, which makes today's national holiday Celebration of Life Day, a day where you just celebrate being alive, something that I feel like a lot of the times we take for granted, just to have air in our lungs, folks. It is a blessing to be alive. I just turned 38 years old. I'm never ashamed to tell people how old I am because you know what? It is a blessing to make it this far. To be 38 means that I have lived on this earth. I've had a life for 38 years. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to boast in, to be proud of, that you've lived life that long. So today is a day to just celebrate being alive. Now, how do you do that? How do you celebrate being alive? Well, there's a couple of things you could do. One, you could make a gratitude jar. Write down 20 things you are grateful for in your life, whether that be your dog, your vacation, maybe your favorite cookie recipe. Fold them on little slips of paper, keep them in a mason jar, and then the next time life gets you down, grab your gratitude jar and pull something out that just reminds you how great life is. You could get outside and play. That is another way to just enjoy life. Playing, folks, isn't just for kids. Adults, we don't play enough. Whether that's getting out on your bike, getting out and taking a run, taking a jog, going to the park, walking your dog. Get outside and play. Maybe indulge in a childhood favorite. Treat yourself. Treat yourself. Today's the day to celebrate life. So get out and do what you enjoy that just makes life enjoyable, whether that's eating your favorite ice cream or maybe going and watching a movie that you used to love as a kid. Things that bring back nostalgia for us are always great ways to enjoy life. And folks, we don't do it enough. We don't enjoy life enough like we should, but that should change today, because what better day than today? Celebration of Life Day, to just celebrate being alive. Now, folks, that pretty much wraps up another episode of Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. If you liked what you heard today, you'll probably like our previous episodes. We archive them all on podcast, whether that be Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcast. You can follow the show on social media at Off the Cuff with Adam Banks. You can follow me, the host, on social media at The Adam Banks. We release new episodes every Thursday from 4 to 5 right here on WLXU 93.9 FM, which means we will be back same time, same place. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the King of Radio, Adam Banks, and this is Off the Cuff. I'll catch you down the road. Woo! All right, guys, thank you so much. See you next week.